Okay, today's lesson is on hand-foot and foot-hand combinations done from the closed stance. And primarily in part one, we'll be working the straight power line directly in front of the opponent. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, again, that you can simply use what you may term as stationary shifting. And remember, when we say everything has footwork, that we include the idea of lifting up and setting down the feet, but not really stepping anywhere. So still that's stepping to us, but I prefer to call that shifting. And sometimes I will still point out that it's quite stationary, in fact, because we haven't done a partial step or a full step or a combination step. So I'm going to use the two primary kicks, which is the diagonal foot position. So I'll be using that as the thrust kick, and I'll also be using it as the hook kick. And again, we talked about target areas before. There's multiple target areas. So when I talk about kicking on the low line, I'm talking about kicking the waist and below, okay? But including the pelvis area and the hip area and into the groin, thigh from front or side or back, knee from front or side or back, and sometimes even ankle, Achilles tendon, foot stump, that kind of thing as well. All right, so, but primarily I'll be kicking around the knee or the groin height with this stuff, all right? And in regards to the straight punch, also be using the primary, which will be the vertical fist. Although you'll probably see me do it sometimes a little bit more on that diagonal line that we talked about, all right? That's the way shit happens, see what I'm saying? All right, so the first one we'll run off then is hand-foot combination. And basically I'm just going to work it from the shifting, all right? So I'm going to lift up and set down my front foot as I punch, all right? But that causes my rear foot to be up, all right? So it's very easy from this position to go into the punch and the kick, just in one movement. Okay? One, and that's the thrust kick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can hear the tappy tappy. 10. Okay? But I haven't really moved anywhere. All right? Now, the other thing you want to remember throughout the whole series, and Lee brought up a question about different energies, and it kind of has more to do with weaponry than it does here, but I'll talk about it a little bit in regards to hitting and retracting, or hitting with a focus to where it temporarily locks out and then comes back, or hitting with a follow through, all right? So in weaponry, it's a bit more clear, especially in a blunt weapon situation. So for the stick or a blunt tool, I would use all three, all right? In regards to JKD, it's always strike and retract as quickly as possible, although sometimes you will use strikes to kind of shove your opponent away. So that's more of a push, but it's still done with striking, all right? So I hope that somewhat answered Mr. Lee's question, and we'll be getting back to more of that as we progress. So where are we? Where are we, Dad? Here we it. Okay, so we'll switch from kick to punch right now, but the same idea is that I'm going to lift up and set down my rear foot in order to do the kick. Okay, and I'll use the thrust kick again. And then I'm going to land with the punch because my front foot is already up in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put more turn into it that time, did you see? 6, a little bit of stutter there. 7, 8, a little bit more turn there. 9, a little stutter there, a little broken rhythm. 10. Okay, all right, so I think you get the idea there that we can shift, hit, shift, kick as well as stepping. All right. And again, what I wanted to talk about as well is in regards to energy or power is that controlling depth and penetration of your strikes. And it's a good, the number 3 is a good breakdown in regards to light, medium, heavy in regards to power. Light, medium, heavy, penetration. Da-da-dee, da-da-da, all right? So not everything is done as powerfully as possible each time you strike. Some may choose to do it that way. I prefer to break it up, all right? All right, so you have to, this is the kind of thing to where your time spent actually doing it will teach you why, all right? We can discuss it, and you can intellectualize with it and shit, but you have to experience it, right? You have to experience knowledge, right? It has to be for real. Okay, so punch-kick combination. This will be done with the push step and the burst, all right? And I'll be returning back on the first round after my kick. I will shuffle retreat somewhat back to the position that I started out with. Now, you can do this in 2 ways in regards to taking a step and a step, okay? But that's not really attack by combination because there was a pause in between. So that would be more of 2 single attacks or 2 simple attacks put together, all right? So to do attack by combination, you'll be using broken rhythm. And broken rhythm in this sense will be is that when I throw my lead straight punch, I'll only be landing on the front foot only, okay? Which means my left foot is in the air. But because I'm following up with a kick immediately after as a part of a combination, I'll automatically go into the burst. Okay, let me go ahead and stop using the thrust kick now and go with the hook kick to the groin. The hook kick. I'm Super Mario. The hook kick. Okay. Now I'm using the toe. You can see a little bit more whip. Okay, there's 10 of those bad boys, okay? All right, so that's punch, kick, combination. Now, what we're going to do next is we'll go into the kick punch. Actually, I wanted to do another explanation on this one. Because in this one, when I did punch kick, I shuffle retreated back to my original position somewhat, all right? But you will also work it to where you do punch kick and you drop it down and make an adjustment. See what I'm getting at, all right? So you should work it both ways because you don't want to program yourself to always kick and step back because things change in reality, all right? So when I'm doing the punch kick combination, sometimes I will retreat, and sometimes I will set down, okay, where I'm at, all right? Sometimes I'll jump ahead a little bit. Sometimes I will shift off to the left side, okay? And sometimes I will shift off to the right side, okay? So I think I just said those backwards, but you can see it was the 2 different angles that I always show you guys, all right? Because I'm a corner man. I'm a corner man and a back door man. The men's don't know, but the little girls, they understand. Okay, so that was the breakdown on that one. So for the kick punch, and again I'll go with the hook kick to the groin, which could also be into the hip, into the solar plexus, into the ribs, into the neck, jaw, temple, eyeball, you name it, okay? But that diagonal hook kick with the toe or the instep, all right? So basically what I'm going to do from the kick is fall down into the punch. Okay? Is fall down into the punch. That'll be round 1. Three, 4, remember we talked about that. 5, remember we talked about that. 6, remember we talked about that. So you will close it up different ways by closing the dough. I usually refer to that as a falling step. Not the same falling step from Jack Dempsey, but from a kick to a strike, I fall into it. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so the second version of the kick punch will be the stutter step. And this is used when your opponent moves backwards after your initial kick, whether you landed the kick or not. All right, but he moves backwards into a little bit further out. Okay. Kick, land, push. And you should be able to hear that as well. Can the stutterer. Broken rhythm, signature moves. Okay, so that was your stutter step. And again, the stutter step was not shuffle push combination, but that one. A bit smaller of a movement. Easier, accessible, takes less time. Faster. Both are applicable. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about, another thing you can do from kicking is to kick and advance with the kick and retreat with the punch. 1, 2, corkscrew. 3, shovel. 4, straight. 5, 6, oh, back kick. 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm thrust kicking in. 10. Okay, all right. So you can retreat, you can fall step retreat from the kick. That time it's a hook kick. Bang. All right, got it? All right, so that's the idea. So footwork gives you that, well, first your structure, and then your sense of alignment, and your timing and footwork give you adaptability. Be like water, right? That's what this turned out to be. As you can see, I'm being like water, my friend. Okay, the other thing I wanted to say about kicking is that, of course, you could be skipping with the kick and coming into the punch as well. See, I've tightened it up a little bit more. See? So I can be a little bit open on things. I fucked up. What that means, I can be a little bit relaxed. Hands a little bit too low. Can bring them up, also tighten up. Okay, so you need to play with this with different attitudes. All right? Okay, so that was skipping with the kick. Okay, and then we'll go into PIA, progressive indirect attack, which gives you about actually 3 different types of ways to do it. One comes directly from fencing, to where actually if something's traveling low, that halfway through traveling low, it goes high. Or if something's going high, halfway through traveling low, it goes low. That is the most difficult one to do. And I won't really get into that right now. But the 2 ones that are taught more often than not are faking and feinting. And the fake would be a false attack to where the tool travels halfway towards the target, whereas a feint would be a smaller movement. Okay? And again, like we said, just because you're doing PIA or attack by drawing, they don't always necessarily fall for it. So you would still have to have backup in regards to, the fight's not necessarily finished just because you executed PIA. Which takes me back to what I said earlier on, was that some things you want your opponent to see and some things you don't want them to see. So a real attack just initiated preemptively or under attack by preparation, okay? You do not want them to see that. You only want them to feel that. You want the results from that. So that should be non-telegraphic and very compact and very explosive. To whereas PIA, faking or feinting, you want them to see it, all right? So it has to be a bit theatrical, all right? And to give you the example of a punch-kick combination, again, where both of them are actually our real attacks, okay, then for sure you would look for non-telegraphic movement, okay? But if I want them to react to my fake punch, I will shoot it a little bit high and create a little bit more movement with my body as I move in order to hide the kick. Okay, so that's what I mean by wanting them to see it or not see it, all right? So fake the hand and do the kick. I wasn't convinced by that one. There, I was convinced by that one. Smaller movements. Okay, all right. Okay, and back to kicking. When I initiate a real kick preemptively or on the preparation of attack, I want to keep my back as straight as possible, okay? But when I fake my kick, I want to lean back. I want them to see my knee. I want them to see me lean back to make them think that I'm really, really kicking them, all right? All right. That time I let it go halfway. So this would represent the feint, and this would represent the fake. Just kind of throw shit out. I prefer feint. Now again, small movement. Okay. Woo, dog! All right. So, hand-foot combination, foot-hand combination, using push, step, and burst, using skipping, or using stationary shifting. Okay? You have them all to your disposal. Now you got to work about 100 of these sets, 100 reps for all these sets. And, you know, in shadow boxing, slow motion, middle speed, full speed, 3 different ways of controlling depth and penetration, 3 ranges, you name it, all right? Rhythm, broken rhythm. So JKD is simple, and it's quite direct most of the time. And when it's indirect, it's still quite simple. But it really is, JKD really is a full system in regards to a stand-up system, okay? We also work some ground stuff, but I wouldn't call it grappling. I would call it wrestling really fast to strike or do something dirty on the ground to get back up again. And it's also based on triangulation and structure and so on and so forth, and position of advantage and all that. I doubt we'll get into that in this series, but see, I was supposed to actually do my complete video series in Bangkok in December at a very nice professional studio. It was all set up and everything, but things did not work out. And then I get to Australia in January, and the country is burning, and then the COVID-19 kicks in. Lord have mercy, mercy me. All right, so the next time we touch upon this subject in part 2, we will make 3s out of it: hand, foot, hand, and foot, hand, foot. And we'll also include the angles as well. All right? So have a good one, and cheerio.